Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
The other day we mentioned a listener that we know, met her many times, Alicia, being engaged to Kendra. And Alicia's mom wrote and said, that was beautiful to mention the engagement. It made my daughter cry. That's what it's all about. You want to hear your wedding announcement on the show? Maybe a birthday shout out? How about your side hustle? Want to spread the word? KeithandtheGirl.com/shout out. What happens when you go there, Chemda?
You see a schedule of our shows and you can actually pick the date that you want to hear the shout out, because we get these emails like, can I do a birthday shout out, but it's over here on the next month and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, pick your date. You write exactly what you want us to say. And here we go.
KeithandtheGirl.com/shout out. And I'm shouting out right now. Today's guest, who doesn't love him? You've seen his dick on camera if you follow Keith and the Girl. And yet there's always more that he gives somehow. He's from MTV's The State, which might be returning on tour soon. Now, what does that mean? It means stay alive, stick around, see. You know? It's going to be exciting. That's right. From the Risk Podcast, Kevin Allison. Hello, Kevin.
Howdy. Wait, who told you The State might be on tour? Me?
Am I right, Kevin?
It is true. I was literally just texting them to, when are we going to figure out if this is happening or not? So
that's funny because nobody told me. I just said it. I just made it up. Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Hey, guess what, guys? Sooner than you think, there might be a state tour. Outstanding. Oh, yes, Keith Malley, you really are the best in the business.
Hold on. I really think, first of all, that intro, even without the weird fucking prediction of like an evil fucking cartoon character, even without that, deserves a Katka. You've seen his dick here if you follow.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. That too is, I don't think that part is true.
Right. But 2 minutes ago, he just took his dick out again. He's like, have you already seen it? I never saw your dick. I know nothing about the state. Let's see what else I can
took my dick out as in I went to the bathroom while we were getting ready to get on air. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Bad Beef is writing, time to feel bad about my sex life. It's Kevin.
Right.
Oh, right. Well, no. My sex life, I have so much news to report about my life. I have had very little sex life for the past 3 months.
We'll see what that means.
You're
right.
Have you met married people? Keith, what were you gonna say?
Well, there's so much we have to get into, obviously. But this happened right before the show. I was feeling good. I felt I had a productive day.
Oh, how so?
I got an oil change on the car.
Oh, good. Okay.
Tires rotated.
Time out.
Did tax bullshit. You know, if I make a list, it doesn't seem like a lot of stuff, but it was feeling good.
Sounds like a lot.
When you list things like tax bullshit, like when I see on my list tax bullshit, I'm like, okay, you're gonna be exhausted. Here we go. Let's do something before and something after, where, you know, we're sandwiching in this fucking bullshit so that I can stay present during that shit. But an oil change, that's great. Now we can use the car this weekend. Tire rotation, literally in 1 year, we put maybe 3,500 miles on that car. You usually do like at least 12,000 as a human being.
Oh, look who's a human fucking calculator over here, Kevin. Let me tell you what happened. Hey, I need the car this weekend. Car happened. We split a car. Car happens to be in your possession right now. Can you get an oil change for us? I go, okay. It also says, I thought it said AI, like artificial intelligence. These new cars are spaceships to me. And I go, oh, it says AI needs looked at. What's that mean? She goes, don't know what it means. So I Google what it means. A meant oil change. It was one meant tire rotation. So that's what I did. And then she comes back. Why would you get your tires rotated? Because you said, she always said, did you Google it? You know, she's one of them. Did you Google? I did Google it. Well, just ask them. They'll know. I did. Now it's like, tire rotation, how much? And I'm like, it sounded like she just threw in the tire rotation, but it was about 100. She goes, 100? I don't know anything.
But what a fun experience to have that conversation with you.
What do they do? Do they just spin the wheels?
No, they take it off. They do something because I saw them trying to struggling with it. And I like when people struggle with things. I'm like, not so easy, is it, professional?
I'm like, aren't they supposed to rotate already?
Yeah, they rotate in a different way. I don't get it. That's how much I don't get it. But I saw them putting on one of the wheels, and I'm like, that's something I can't do. It's something that took those hydraulic lifts. I'm like, okay, that's $50 right there.
Oh my God.
Worth it. You rotated the tires? No, I made it up. I said, you know what? Let's rotate some fucking tires. I heard about this in movies.
Pretty sure all I said was 3,500 miles doesn't seem like a time that you would need to do anything to tires. Doesn't even seem like it. I didn't say, Keith, are you dumb?
You did say, are you dumb? You said on the show and before the show, tire rotation?
Right. That's what I said.
Really?
Tire rotation? That seems like something that would bring up a question. For example, this is my question.
Did you think, Keith, you shouldn't have got a tire rotation?
I thought that would go, And then I would go, we needed a tire rotation. And you would go, the thing said A1. And I would go.
Am I making up that you were judging me for getting it wrong?
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can we not waste anybody's more time in the court, Your Honor?
Oh my God.
Come on. So I celebrated after all my hard work with an afternoon steak, and I had a little A1 in the fridge. And you ever do this with you think a bottle's empty and you're like,
you rotate it?
I call a mechanic. I call
it says A1 on this sauce.
Yeah. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, what a small world. There's signs everywhere, right? How everything comes together.
Sauce on your steak, Keith.
Yeah, I'm an A1 fan. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just asking questions.
Right. I'm like, oh, the bottle's almost empty. So I do that shake and a big clump comes out for 5 steaks. And I'm like, all right. Well, anyway, there's only a little drop left. So let me get that out. Next thing you know, I have A1 soup and nothing to do with it. Because I kind of like throwing things out. I'd rather have endless A1. But if there's only a drop and I'm like, that's fun. That gets in the garbage now. My fridge has more room.
What if it's really artificial intelligence?
And it's fucking with me like they'll do.
Maybe that's really what happened for the Hanukkah miracle. Let me explain. Hanukkah is 8 days long.
Right. There was plenty of fish and bread, by the way. Just look in the bucket. Look in the basket.
So they needed oil, and they only had oil for one night, right? But you had to turn it over and push it, and then a whole steak's full of oil fell out. But they called it God. And all of a sudden we have 8 days of Hanukkah because the A1 sauce lasted 8 days. Hanukkah.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to all the half mechanics out there right now that's going to be on the forums. You can change your own oil for $7. Ha, 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 ha. Okay, thank you. I didn't go to school for it. I didn't have a dad that loved me. I don't know, and I'll never fucking know. And that's my lot in life. And that's okay.
And we love half mechanics.
Thank you. We just hate their attitudes. We're happy for them. Apparently, they built everything, but I hate their attitude.
Is this what it's like to be a dude? Is it what it's like? It's like, okay, first of all, I was born with a penis, but we're also calling me a dude. Second, I don't know how to change my oil, and I don't know what rotating tires means. Please stop being toxic at me. I'm a different kind of man, and I'm allowed to be now. I have a veteran's card, and they gave me some. I got an email saying, "Hey, you can see the Flash, and it's like the biggest IMAX in New York City. We're gonna give you popcorn and soda. Come on down." And so I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go." But I'm ready for somebody to be like, were you really in war? Well, I would have. It was peacetime. Yes, there's penis envy everywhere, always, of course.
I'm sure that's how they approach it at the movie cinemas.
No, they were normal people.
Oh, yeah. So we were asking Keith, because yesterday he was going to the movie. It was going to be for veterans. And so we asked, like, would you consider wearing, he doesn't have his uniform anymore. It was stolen a long time ago. Don't bring it up. It's very sad. Anyway, would you wear because, some people wear their fatigues when they go to official things or to an airport, wherever you can get a nice salute and please go ahead of me. And he said no, but we were wondering if there would be some people in uniform or there would be people yelling hoo-ah when you're supposed to just be like, oh, huh, that's a good fun thing in the movie. Like,
not only wasn't there,
no,
there was a lot of garbage left behind. These motherfuckers weren't in the military. You police your area. Everybody knows that. I'm picking up straight popcorn. I look around. Nobody gave a fuck.
wow.
Yeah, picking up popcorn like it's so many expelled shells.
I haven't thought of this in 400 years, but when I was 16, I got my first job as working behind the box office at a like really rundown little movie theater. And one of the first people to walk in the door puts a gun down on, instead of like putting money down, just puts a gun down in front of me. And I raised my hands like I mean, he wasn't holding the gun. He just put it on the table. And he's like, no, I'm a cop. Supposed to be, you show, whatever, your gun, your badge, you let me in. I was like, all right, go in.
Right. And you can still have my money.
You're supposed to know that from a gun.
I wouldn't know you lay down a gun.
I'm going to throw up just you telling me that story. I can't imagine a grown adult going, and now a free ticket for me. Oh my God.
He probably made it up and he's like, he's picking on a kid like, idiot. I'm a cop.
Exactly.
We don't always have to be in uniform and carry our badge.
I got a lot bolder though. I streaked through Children of the Lesser God. I like almost no one was there. I was behind the popcorn stand this time, right? And I called.
I do like that you rushed the title. Children of the Lesser God. It's a movie.
Well, you got to. It's a long one. I took off all of my clothes and ran through. There were only maybe 5 people watching the movie in the house, and ran through singing a song from Carousel by Rodgers and Hammerstein. The song is called "This Was a Real Nice Clam Bake." And I had snuck my clothes to be at the bottom of the exit so that I could put them back on down there. I forget how I finagled the whole thing. But anyway,
by the way, I'm sorry, 1 second. Was it a bet with somebody? Was it to make somebody laugh or was it solo?
Yeah. It was a friend of mine was also working there. So between the two of it, he was at the box office, I was at concessions. And as within minutes, a woman comes out, calls the manager, and she's like, that guy, the guy selling popcorn just
the
ran
only
through.
Redhead in a mile. And yes, it matches. How do I know? Right. Here we go.
Right. So that was the end of that job.
I'd say so.
Is that the only ending you got that day? Good for you. I mean, you got caught being naked in public and you only got fired. I think that's a win.
Get caught? Is the word caught too? The way that other guy cop, you were caught. You were discovered. And then your friend was like, oh, sorry, I was in the bathroom. Can you do it again? You go, I'm fired. He goes, then what's the problem?
Was it worth it?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? I mean, that's a ridiculous story to be able to tell.
But working in a theater, you didn't feel like a cast member? I go to Regal Theaters and they keep saying, get your start in the movie business.
Oh,
sell some popcorn and you're a cast member. Like you and Clooney are going to be hanging out.
Yeah.
But yeah, they gave you free snacks and everything. And I took it like I did come back from the war. I got popcorn. I got the high C thing. I got water, M&M, Sour Patch. Oh, a bunch of crunch.
Jesus fucking
day.
Christ.
Yeah, that's your taxes and I'm going to take them. Thank you.
Wait,
it's so look at all this shit. It's so worth the burn pits. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, God.
Did they have a concession stand and they said, you can order whatever you want? Or did you have vouchers? How did
everything was free? Everything was free.
Were you the only one with multiple things in your hand like that?
I started the party.
Okay. So everyone discovered, oh, I don't have to pick one. I could be a total.
They go, oh, and I see. They have that? They said, is it free? Somebody's sitting in front of me. And I go, yeah, just ask. Then they got up. Then everybody else started getting up.
Did anyone else sing This Was a Real Nice Clam Bake?
No, because they did understand it was for veterans. You probably would have got dropped. Probably. A lot of families, but you probably still would have got dropped.
Was there any military-ish? Would I know that I didn't serve if I was?
There were
serving?
there were families, but no hippies. Haircuts were all short. Nobody's wearing a scarf in the summertime, if you know what I mean.
That's me. I just get chilly.
Yeah, but there's no fashion winter clothing in there. That's what I'm saying. But you know what? No ads. Good. I was kind of I didn't want to, because they're kids. I don't want a recruitment poster. You know what I mean?
Oh, I didn't think of that.
And there wasn't. So good.
Oh, what a perfect time for it.
Yeah. And the person that announced it, they didn't do like, I didn't need it, but they didn't really do a shout out to veterans. They did just say, thanks for coming. You'll be excited about this movie. It's The Flash. And for those, if you're a 90s kid like me, you're going to love the return of Michael Keaton. And the audience was like, what? Oh, yeah. They didn't know because they got this invite to a free movie. They didn't necessarily get it. They weren't necessarily excited about The Flash. Like if you're excited about The Flash, you know Michael Keaton's in it. It's in the commercials. It's on the posters. But if you don't know and you just got an invite like these people did, you just spoiled it.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, why did they say that? But then I thought everybody knows everything but me. So
right. But I'll tell you what, my Flash review, first 25 minutes. If you got the balls to do this, leave after 25 minutes into the movie.
All right.
The beginning is a big action scene. It's fucking fantastic. I happen to be sitting next to an older couple, and they said out loud, "Wow!" Like a car's flying in the air. Oh, and it was very exciting. Then you get to the Flash, goes back through time, sees himself again. This is all in the commercials. Sees himself, and I hate kids talking. He's like,
my God.
There's the younger Flash 18. There's a regular Flash, let's say 23. That's still stupid age. And who gives a fuck?
You mean the characters in the movie? You hate to hear
I hated the Flashes.
Young characters in movies talk?
Yeah, because they talk about what they care about. I'm like, well, you're going to realize in a couple of years that's stupid. So maybe they got it right by making these kids stupid, but I don't give a shit.
Oh my God.
What's mom gonna think if I gotta who cares what mom's gonna think? You're a superhero.
Meanwhile, that's the age you were all in the military in that room.
That's true too. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I thought that too. Honestly, I was watching it. I'm like, I hope we didn't. Did we talk like this in the military? We were fucking idiots.
No, you only said smart things and hooah.
It is fun to say though. Hooah! It is fun.
I feel like we are so drowned in content now that it is legit to give reviews like leave after the first 25 minutes. Okay, great.
It's 2 hours, 25 minutes. Save yourself 2 hours. Sneak it. 25 minutes. Sneak into Spider-Man.
Did you stay for the whole thing though?
Yeah, of course. Well, I wouldn't have known, but yeah, of course. And it fucking drags when the kids talk, and they talk a lot. Apparently, there's a lot of flashes, and they do a lot of talking.
Flashback, they should call it.
Hello.
Yeah.
But it is funny, though. I did get into it because at the end of the movie, I'm crossing like the 4 lanes of Broadway, and I'm sprinting across deliberately like Frogger. And I'm like, yeah. I think I had the pumped up energy. Reminded me when I saw Karate Kid as a kid. They do a lot of...
That's the movies is where Keith gets his feelings from. He was like... And after Spider-Man, I was jazzed. I almost felt like I was climbing the walls. After Jackass, I punched my friend in the dick. Then we went to...
They do some de-aging, and they do some deep fakes. It doesn't look...
To Michael Keaton?
I can't tell you, but not to Michael Keaton. But to people that just pop up for split seconds.
Right.
It doesn't look good at all. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. At least we're not there on IMAX, the biggest screen in New York City.
Yeah, in that Scorsese movie. And it was funny because the way they would walk was like, like, okay, that's an elderly man. Walking.
Right.
Doesn't that suck that you know that? Doesn't that... I can tell... what age bracket people are in from behind. I shouldn't, come on, that just it's we can't get away with it, but Yeah, I was just starting to rewatch the second Sex and the City because I rewatched the whole series, the first movie, the second I'm gonna watch, and the new series, and then the new episodes are coming out. Anyway, I'm on the second movie.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, remind me what we were just talking about, and I can
The
tell you why I
aging.
mentioned that. Okay, so in the second movie, Carrie starts pretty much by going like, "I came to New York when I was 25," and they flash back because they're trying to show the fashions, and how ridiculous and whatever. They did that so well because they went far. The camera was like, "Oh,
Yes.
look at that person from the 80s. You can see the big hair." So they emphasize that. They emphasize the big clothing, maybe the shoulder pads, things like that. And it's like, okay, I'll buy that for a hot second. And then they switched over to now, just a couple seconds into it. So I know that you
Right.
took the time to de-age people, to use the filter, to get the clothing right. So you want to stay there for a while. No, give it to us from far. We don't have, we'll use our imagination along with you. And then we move
Right.
on.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
gave it so close. There are a lot of cameos. And by the way, these superhero movies, I think everybody knows this by now, but if you're into The Flash, you have to see it this weekend because already words are popping up trending. So if you see Superman
give it
trending, you're
spoilers?
smart enough to know there's a reason.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God, is
Yeah.
that why Jesus Christ was trending today? Is that a spoiler?
Deep fake. Yeah. He looked so unreal.
Those abs, come on. How old
Right.
is he now? 2000 what?
Well, yeah,
Candace-
I hope they de-aged those abs.
Henda sent me this from Twitter. This is funny. Charlie Kirk. He's the founder of Turning Point USA. Big right-wing
Right.
bullshit. You know of this guy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He tweeted out, Donald Trump is facing 100 years in prison for a paperwork dispute. Now, first, before I realized he's the one who wrote that, I thought it was a joke of some kind that I didn't get. But I'm like, obviously, it's a joke. It's more than a paperwork dispute. Then I realized this guy sent it and he means it. Then I see, I see this person, Brother Sheriff writes, and Bill Cosby went to prison for making bad drinks. Ted Kaczynski went to prison because he sent a couple letters. John Wayne Gacy went to prison for having some kids stay at his house. Charles Manson went to prison for talking to some friends, says L.A. Goldenrod. Jeffrey Dahmer went to prison for having dinner.
Oh my God.
Wow. I can't do my taxes wrong and go, for paperwork, I'm in trouble.
Right.
Like, for real, don't be a dork. I also saw that Jay Leno and Adam Carolla are teaming up for a comedy fantasy camp for aspiring comedians and writers.
I saw that too. I try not to hate on the learning of comedy because I do think like when
they made it.
No, but when people join like improv things and comedy, I think it makes them a better person. I really do. If you take a class on that, it eases you up. It does things to your tension. It makes you a better friend, like all of that stuff. But the Jay Leno and
Adam Carolla,
just them two together is, I feel like did they sign with fire or blood or I don't know. It seems awkward and weird. First of all, Adam Carolla is so busy haterating on everything that is like
Leno is too. They're both very anti-woke.
Is that
Are
right?
they?
Yeah.
How dare Jay Leno?
I got into a rabbit hole from like
really?
Somebody posted like, here's an example. Next thing you know, I'm seeing so many examples. They're both old fuddy-duddies now.
How you can't teach comedy. You can't teach comedy in that brain. What's funny? You're gonna tell hack jokes. If you are not awakened to the new information, your jokes are old. So I'm not even saying that you're insulting or you're gonna be like offensive.
You're just like irrelevant.
Yes, you're gonna teach people how to stay in their old thoughts and tell old jokes. You need new thoughts for new jokes. I mean, they might as well. What, are you guys gonna read joke books and that's the syllabus?
Kind of. They're still doing Monica Lewinsky jokes. I'm not exaggerating when I say that.
Come on.
Totally. Yeah. When you listen to like Bill Maher and he's another one of those, like just his cadence and everything is so like, I mean, I sometimes feel like, gosh, some of this feels like pre-Lenny Bruce.
Right.
Like as if nothing happened in the world for the 40 years that you've been on stage. You're still commenting about the 80s, but I don't.
Right. Not a month ago, Carolla was talking about how the woke culture is going after people smoking cigarettes in bars. And I'm like, oh. And I'm waiting for it to lead to something in the present, but of course it never does. Christian Finnegan tweeted out, I want the name of every single comedian that signs up for this. I just want to talk. Sean Marker Ceresi said, I'd rather go to a concentration camp.
I think they call those meditation retreats now.
Right. The comedy workshop where the joke is on you. Brendan Hay says they're going to be at a comedy camp to teach or attend. Josh says they made one of those rock and roll fantasy camps for dads who specifically just want to say slurs.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's come here and say whatever because we'll call it a joke so you get away with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're going to come back home and piss people off more and then go, what did I do? And then get more upset and then you're going to be right that people are always against you and they're always trying to fix your language because Jay Leno okayed this.
Right.
Fuck, man. Come on.
Yeah. You had the man show. No one was complaining. Where's this woke culture that's really stifles you?
Also, just, using words like awake, woke, and then going loser is really weird. Like, we should all just go back to sleep, man. Have you heard of naps? New information. What are you always trying to learn? And then just knock books out of people or Kindle and be like, ew, how many books do you have on that Kindle? I bet you read 1,000 books, nerd. And it's like, oh, that's funny. Write that down. That's going to be part of your tight butt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be easy to kiss the teacher's ass in that class right away.
Jay Leno, the person who never thought women were funny. Are women allowed to sign up for this, or do they only get to jump on trampolines?
You sit in the back. Oh, you're talking about Carolla, but yeah.
Right, I know. Right. I switched them because you know what? They teamed up. I'm teaming up. I got jokes for you all.
That's right. No, you gotta grow and evolve. Kevin Allison. Speaking of which, big life changes that I want to talk about. Am I right? Am I exaggerating?
Yeah.
He's straight now.
He's straight. No. He loves vagina. I mean, he'll still kick you in the lips or something. I mean, he's into crazy shit. But now it's all about the women.
That would be a transformation. No, I got sober 3 months ago.
Congrats.
California sober?
No,
quitting drinking is so fucking. I quit drinking. It is difficult sometimes. Where if you did heroin, I'd be like, I get it. Is that Indiana sober? Because good for you.
No, for me, I had I have never had such a painful breakup. I had a breakup over 3 months ago now, and that was so fucking painful. And there was a day that I was kind of having panic attacks about it. And I just sat down. I was like, I'm going to stop, ruminating about this, stop fantasizing about it, stop, obsessing over it, talking to myself, talking to him in my head. I'm just going to sit down and feel this. I'm just going to feel it. And like for about, 45 minutes or so, I was just sitting there feeling it and crying and everything. And when I stood up, I was like, oh shit, I think that was Buddhism. I think that is what they were talking about. And I was like, and I think maybe I should check out this Buddhist recovery group called Recovery Dharma, because I tried AA back in my early 30s and didn't like it. So what I gave up was alcohol, weed, poppers, and junk food. So all four of those things at once.
That's a different planet sober, let alone
California.
Yeah. And I quickly left Recovery Dharma to look like I'm still looking for like a more normal, regular Buddhist Sangha, because I find that like all Buddhist work is kind of recovery anyway, but really for me, the work I always knew that those substances themselves were not the root of things, that the root of things is my addiction to having so much fear and insecurity about rejection or abandonment. And that's what that breakup like triggered in me in the biggest way. So
Did
that's
he
what I've
break
been.
up with you out of nowhere? Is that why?
Yeah, it was a real, it was, I mean, I have so much compassion for him because he himself was going through something extraordinarily painful at the time. And okay, confession, he was only 20, which is, super naive and stupid of me to allowed myself to just fall in love.
It's fun to say hua.
Yeah, I mean,
are you how old are you about?
53.
Now, does it ever hit you a certain way when people are making fun of De Niro and his girlfriend, Al Pacino and his girlfriend?
Oh yeah, it hits me in a big way because I have been interested in younger guys since the beginning of consciousness. Like I was pretty conscious at the age of 3 when my sister was born. I was like, I don't get a little brother. Like
Right.
and when in kindergarten and first grade, I was always like, throughout my whole life, I was always like wanting to be like the older or the, like the Skipper to Gilligan. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, and so when I hit my 40s and my husband left me and put Grindr on my phone as he was loading the last box on the U-Haul.
Unnecessary.
But thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for your help. And then he goes, "Can I help you with anything else?"
Right.
I thought I was going to have a really hard time dating at that point, but then I clicked open Grindr and it was like, daddy, daddy, daddy. And I was like, oh, this whole kink thing of daddy boy is like so popular and normalized as a phenomena over the years, but because
it puts you in a sexy place as opposed to sexy is only for the 20 something. So
exactly.
you open the app and suddenly realize that even your age could be sexy in this realm.
Exactly.
But only with younger people who are admiring your age, not with people your age who know there's nothing to admire.
Right. And
but that's how you saw it, right? Because we talked about this a couple of years ago, that you don't like your age. So it's hard for you to be attracted to somebody your age. Like you don't like old.
Well, first of all, was your husband age appropriate?
My husband and I are, well, we're meeting on Saturday to review to actually have a sit down and talk about our whole relationship again. I mean, not to restart it, but to be like, hey, let's learn something about ourselves. What happened?
Oh, can I sit in on that? I promise to be quiet.
We are going to record it.
But God, can I be like faux therapist asking you? Oh my God. I never wanted to be in a room with 2 gay guys more.
What were you thinking when I was saying what an idiot the Flash was? Because kids are stupid.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, that is the thing.
That's the real question.
The thing of it is that I think one of the reasons that I was so sidetracked about him was that it's such a cliche, but he really did have a lot more intelligence, a lot more experience, by which I mean trauma, a lot more, I don't know, just emotional depth than you would expect of someone that age. But over time, you can see how, that can be very misleading, because no matter what, that person still hasn't been through all the fucking decades of, life beating the fuck out of you.
Right.
Jerome Charles is writing in. I remember when I moved out of New York City when I was 25 and dating a 45-year-old, I flippantly left the relationship and I couldn't understand why he cried when I broke up with him.
Oh my God. Hello. I even told him at one point, I was like, Socrates said, in older relationships, it's liable to be the old man who ends up shattered. I mean, that is to say, if all is, if the older man isn't being like super manipulative and all that kind of thing. Because the younger person might not realize how emotionally invested a person can get,
and his life's in front of him.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's just endless possibilities in front of him. Yeah. But anyway, the two of us are amicable, and there's been forgiveness and a lot of compassion around all that.
Forgiveness for what? Because you're usually amicable with your exes because you usually are pretty light in the relationship area where you're dating and you're more serious with someone, but it's never like I don't know, maybe I'm getting it wrong, but it's usually like, I like this one a little more, but I'm not deep into something. Am I getting it wrong?
It was that another very traumatic event happened in his life that totally consumed him, and the breakup.
A 12-year-old dumped him.
The breakup was just handled as in the lights were on and now the lights are off. It took 3 months to sit down and talk about the fact that a breakup had happened.
How long were you dating?
8 months. Yeah.
When did you say I love you?
2 hours.
That's a very good question, because I think that the serious saying of I love yous were not till several months in, not till maybe 4 or 5 months in.
What about the joking ones?
Yeah.
Like love ya, like that?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Earlier than that. Yeah. We were definitely too quick with everything, which is also a famous, which is a typical thing for me, to jump right in. And but in this case, I jumped right in and allowed myself to just get too serious about it. I put way too much energy and investment in it. And so, yeah, but
did it upset him that you kept bringing up your friends Socrates and Copernicus?
But what I've been working on ever since then is not just the meditation, but a fuck ton of, active imagination, a fuck ton of journaling, the guided meditation. I've been doing the work out of workbooks on self-compassion and just developing a better relationship with yourself and dealing with your past traumas and all that kind of stuff. And it's been really, really, really powerful. At the same time that my company, my therapist hit me with the biggest whammy of my whole time with my therapist. He was like, "Sure, not just focused on all this heartbreak because it's easier to focus on that than the fact that your business is having such a hard year." And I was like, wow, yeah. I mean, yeah, Risk is caught in this ridiculous pickle in that we got kind of screwed for 10 straight months by the last network we were at, where we were getting our advertising from.
Right.
We finally made the move somewhere else, but we've been starving for so long that the new place we're at is going to take several months to get everything up to speed of getting us all the advertising they promise they can get us eventually. So we're just all of a sudden at this holy fuck, we're very confident that we can flourish and thrive by the fall, but will we make it through the summer? So we're going to do a huge fundraising effort this summer. But yeah, just all the stress.
I know what you mean about, I know I've certainly done it. I was just talking to a friend of mine who she needs to get a job and she's really procrastinating and she needs it. She's living with her mom as a grown adult. But I keep seeing, she'll say, "Hey, Keith, how are you? And should you be doing this instead? And is there anything I could do to help you out?" And I'm like, "Oh, because that's the easy shit."
Right.
Even though, quite frankly, if you
right.
ask me, it's not. You just getting a job is easier, but it feels easier. And I know I've done that about myself. Sure.
Yeah. But
Is your therapist saying that when you get stressed, you go and snort men?
oh no. He like this was like 3 months into me crying over this breakup, and he was like, are you sure you're still holding on to all this pain? Because it's easier to deal with than, if you lost your baby this year, wouldn't that be an even bigger, feeling of loss? And so yeah, just like that's a
By
lot
baby, he means
to,
his podcast. Just
but
FYI.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
right. My
Well,
business.
people
my
are not
business.
like, hey, Kevin, what if you had a kid who died? Have some perspective.
Oh,
No,
right.
he's
right,
talking
right.
about his podcast is
Okay.
his baby. He put a lot of time and effort into it, and it felt like it was dying this year, and you
Right.
focused on this other dude.
Right. And, I think Risk is going to pull through. I think we're going to, with our fundraising efforts this year. And also we've got new ideas. Like we want to start doing different kinds of events, For the longest time, people have said to us, listening to people tell true stories on this show makes me feel like I'm more connected to humanity, makes me feel like I understand people better, like all of these things. And so we're like, we should start throwing social events. We should start throwing like curated events where we help people meet one another and pair off and share stories with the whole room and all that sort of thing. So we're going to start doing that soon. And I think that's going to be super fun. And I'm
Nice.
thinking of starting a workshop of my own where I lead people through some of this self-work I've been doing, some of this, these meditations, these journaling exercises, this stuff, this self-exploration, because I always find that by teaching shit, then I learn even more about it,
Because you're forced to summarize it well.
Yeah, and kind of engage with other people doing it, So I'm kind of lit up about all those things, and the fact that the state might.
Right now, you legally have to do it. So you have what do you say, like sobriety, Buddhism.
Yeah,
you said junk food, but isn't it as far as veganism?
Yeah, I'm a vegan, and I try mostly just to eat healthy vegan food, and I do intermittent fasting. I generally eat only between noon and 5:30, and I have lost 45 fucking pounds.
Take that, 20-year-old.
Yeah. Well, he likes fat guys.
Oh, okay. Well, you showed him. This is the revenge workout in a different way.
You're literally disappearing.
Have you always been vegan?
No.
Are we worried that too much is happening at once?
Yes, right, exactly. Like, I mean, that's a good question. Like 3 months in, I feel pretty stable about the sobriety and the healthiness. It's more psychologically, it's that it's such.
It means you have to stay conscious all day. It means that every act that you do has to be switched into from automatic to conscious. Automatically,
Right.
I would just pick anything and put it in my face. When I'm a vegan, every meal is conscious. I have to actually ask questions. Does it have eggs? Does it have cheese? It's a level of consciousness that could be exhausting because a lot of this stuff is automatic, but that's how we become unhealthy. So now that level of consciousness rises. And if you do too many things at one time, you are now not using any of your automatic brain, which means your brain is working overtime.
And you want to make sure you don't slip, have a cheeseburger, and all of a sudden, well, I might as well drink.
Right.
I only quit drinking. I became a partner in Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
For a good couple months.
Yeah, I remember the first time I quit drinking when I was, I think, 30. Yeah, I put on a lot of weight at that time. It was a very similar thing.
I think the idea at that point is drinking is so dangerous, do anything but, and then Because if that's your main thing, if that's your go-to, and you can get over ice cream as a person who's addicted to this. So let's take the most dangerous one out first.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, I'm saying this to anybody that has an eating disorder, start drinking. Just substitute something for something. That's the key. It's that easy.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Keith is also starting sessions, so you guys.
Right. I'm starting classes, right? I'm more the silent speaker. So, but you seem happy and healthy, right? Are we feeling good 3 months in?
Yeah. I'm definitely, like, physically, I'm feeling great. I read something really interesting the other day. I think it was Gabor Mate said this, that severe depression and moments when a person is going through a tremendously positive transformational change in their life, like a spiritual awakening or something like that, light up the same parts of the brain. In other words, they were saying it's flip side, like I read in this book called The Wisdom of a Broken Heart when I was, dealing with the loss of the relationship.
See how hard it is to reiterate?
What?
Give it 4 months before you teach people this stuff. That's all she said.
No, sorry. I'm tripping you up, please.
No, this woman, she's a Buddhist teacher, and she wrote a book called The Wisdom of a Broken Heart. And she talks about how when your heart is broken, it's open. Like when your heart is broken, you are feeling more. And that is actually, that can really be a good thing if you hold it. If you don't become so wounded that you close down over it or shut down or become all,
I believe, in other
bitter
programs they call it the gift of desperation. So you become so down that you have now recognized that you do need help and are forced to ask for it. You are so down that you have to admit that everything that you have tried or know how to do will not help because you did that. So you are forced to start either thinking about something in a different way or to just stay in that state. So if you're low enough, maybe you start coming up.
Or I've also heard it referred to as the breakup to Buddha pipeline.
Breakup to Buddha pipeline, right?
I heard it as the dark night of the soul.
Yeah. The dark night of the soul, like where you start questioning everything about who you think you are, what you're capable of, where you're going, and that's powerful,
David Goggins call it being a savage. Whenever you think you're tapped out, you tap into the savage you, and there's always more in there.
And then you hunt elk with your mouth, and then
you're not that far off this fucking dude.
Okay, I hear the word savage.
Oh yeah.
Perhaps you heard you're not supposed to date for a year after sobriety, and
I have heard that.
Yeah,
or picking up a new religion.
Right. Just the way you said it, I'm like, I've heard it too. I met Kyle, and I'm like, yeah, I'll tell her to wait a year. This is the stupidest fucking rule, and somehow we have to work around it. What do you think, Kevin?
Oh yeah, I think, well, that's one of the reasons I don't do 12-step. I have a lot of flexibility around things. I think that there's an incredible amount of good advice. I can be a little bit like cafeteria style from this or that program. Yeah.
Pick what you like and leave the rest. Mike G is saying all this self-work sounds exhausting. I'm just going to dye my hair the color of Kool-Aid flavor if my wife leaves me.
There you go.
That's self-love too, though. That's self-care.
Oh, totally.
Before the show, Kevin was saying, Keith and the girl, you've been podcasting 18 years. You've probably seen a lot of guests go through things. And I'm like,
yeah,
the guest, how about the host? How about marriages, divorces, tumors? Kemda took out a catheter in chat. I admitted to myself and everybody I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, 18 years, however many years, you're at what, 82 you said? Yeah, we're going to go through some shit.
Yeah, that 20-year-old went through 18 plus 2 years. So
right.
Right. You ever think never mind. I was gonna say, you ever think like basically he's 2 years old? Anyway, it's over.
And now you're saying you're swearing off younger men, but how
Well,
do you
no.
address that
I
when
mean,
that's what you're
I would apply that to to exactly what we were just talking about with Keith. Like, ideally, it would be great if I could be mindful to like date guys who are at least 35 and up, you know?
Oh my God, in their 30s. Ugh, bleh, no.
But
You know what? Here's the thing that's confusing too. I have to bet with all these reboots and remakes of movies, seems like we all know the same shit, but we really don't, do we?
But yeah, I mean, I don't want to be like hard, fast rules. You know what I mean? Like, not
You don't want to be all the way appropriate.
Right.
That's
right,
right.
right.
How about just an age that doesn't skeeve us out at the next wedding? How about that?
Right. Yeah. I think the key is that, as kind of a polyamorous person, I have this tendency to like let every every friend with benefit or whatever, like evolve into whatever it might be. And now I think I'm going to be a little bit more like, oh, wait, you're, in your 20s. Let's keep a lid on what this might be.
Right.
Let's pay attention to everybody's limitations, not just my knees.
Right.
Could you, at your shows, can you charge more the younger somebody is?
Oh my God, he's not allowed in your show.
Right. No.
No.
Right. That serves alcohol.
He's not allowed because you did. I got checked at your show.
Oh, did you? Yeah. We had a story in Salt Lake City. We had a storyteller who was not allowed into the venue because they are so strict. So yeah, she was 20 and she told her story from the door. The audience had to turn and look at the entrance where she was allowed to tell her story.
Was she allowed to hold a mic, or you can't be amplified in that room? Okay, so we can hear you. We just can't see.
Somebody had to hold the mic from the inside. She had to be right there outside. Equipment can't leave the room. You understand? They got in trouble before. And then people are like coming in and out around her.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got to check the meter.
This also means that you're limited in where you went out. Was it mostly sex?
Wait, what?
Where did you go out? They can't drink. You're a 20-year-old.
Oh, I mean, fake IDs, they can go anywhere.
Okay. Right. For a storyteller, not very intelligent, this woman, right? And you don't want to tell her how you know.
Yeah, I think that a lot of gay establishments are a little bit more lenient if they can get away with it.
I see. All right. Does it concern you that you like the young ages? Do you think it's just society? If I think they're mature enough, or society's saying something? I should look into it. I'm really asking. It's definitely something that I have been thinking about a lot. I mean, what concerns me is this. I have, since I was a tiny little kid, thought I am a monster because I'm gay. I'm going to go to hell. Everyone who loves me is going to reject and abandon me once they get close enough to me and learn who I really am. So I just spent my entire childhood looking at boys at school, putting them up on a pedestal and like just crushing over them and thinking, but if he ever knew how I feel, really got to know me, he would reject and abandon me.
Not just that, it might get scary.
Yeah. So
for gay people our age and up, like it wasn't just they might think I'm icky.
Right.
Although even that
they might
is
beat
just
me up. Yeah. Or
they
kill
might
me.
kill you. Yeah.
So I, just got very used to for all my life, like, I don't know, giving people more power, putting people on pedestals, not like.
Are you trying to, is it never been kissed? Or are you trying to make up for something? And so those people have to be younger.
Well, I mean, it's really tricky because there's such a physical element to it too. I mean, I've always said, yeah, sure. I mean, I'll start telling my dick what to make it hard or not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. God did this, right?
Did
anybody ever? Have you met somebody?
I literally went to a hypnotherapist when I was, I don't know, in my mid 40s, and was like, hey, can you hypnotize me out of being attracted to younger guys?
Make me like
And she was
wrinkly
like,
people.
sure. I paid her $600. We did a couple sessions. Then I went to a sex therapist. He was like, yeah, that was malpractice. People don't change what they're attracted to just by choosing to.
Yeah, it made more sense getting our tires rotated. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Right. But
did somebody ever? Sorry, did somebody ever say they're
Yeah.
like 25 and you're like, and I'm attracted to this person? Then you find out, or you assume they're 25. You find out they're 35. Is it a turnoff?
No, not at all.
Okay, so
Not
good.
At all.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's a turn on if I find out they're 35 or 40 or something like that, and they seem to, I didn't guess that at first. No,
So
I'm
it's
like,
just,
oh my
it's
God.
just aesthetics, right? It's aesthetics.
Well,
it's
no.
just pretty.
It's aesthetics, but there's also that genuine love of, oh, let me teach you things that I've learned from my years, and let me learn from you, from, the magic of youth and shit like that. Like that dynamic too is very appealing to me. Like in the kink scene, some people have like the rough daddy, the, dominant, yada, yada, who's gonna, treat you like, sadistic and all that sort of thing. I'm very much into the sweet daddy, the coach, the mentor. And it's
you want to be that.
Yeah, I want to be that. But what I've realized is that I have never gotten that in return. I think I am taking care of little boy Kevin, and no one else ever has. And what I'm trying to get to
you're masturbating when you fuck these kids.
What? They're not kids, for Christ.
Okay, all right. Well, no, I meant for,
No, what I'm saying is,
right, cadets.
What I want to learn is how to spot, hey, this person has the emotional maturity, the emotional intelligence, and the intention to be there for me to the extent that I could be there for them. I've never held anyone strictly enough to live up to that standard because I haven't taken care of myself well enough over the years.
Do you think,
I mean, psychologically?
I heard that people can only love us as much as we love ourselves, and they will abuse us as much as we would tolerate. And that's why people leave, is when the abuser crosses the line that we would abuse ourselves. That's when it's like, oh wait, you're a jerk. Everything before that doesn't really count. I don't know why I brought that up. I'm just thinking, I don't know.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm Googling what does Buddha think about dating younger people?
Well, they're the reincarnation of something, so they're never that young.
That's right. There you go.
No, Kevin, no. That's how religion goes bad, okay?
Do you have a therapist, or do you go to any
Yes. I'm thinking of switching one, because the one I've been with for 3.5 years, and I feel like it's a good time for a shakeup. But I'm just, I'm very a big believer in therapy, and like I say, this kind of self and coaching, like a friend of mine is becoming a life coach and is taking a course around it in a psychological vein, in along the lines of this stuff that I'm talking about, like self working on your relationship with yourself. So it's really cool because he's giving me more or less free sessions as well, while he builds up his resume. And
you can be honest with them. You can be honest with them.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And I actually really feel like I could be doing that too. Like I was saying, that whole teach to learn thing, because people already do one-on-one sessions with me in order to work on stories. But then oftentimes people will be like, oh, I just wanted to tell you about this life transition I'm having right now. And it's really just more like me, helping them out by, because having worked on such intense emotional stories for over 13 and a half years with people, people really feel like, oh, this person can really listen and really like be compassionate,
This is how we met, Kevin. Actually, I said, hey, I have a crazy story I'd like to tell you. My mom murdered my dad, who killed our siblings. And he goes, oh, give me a call. And I go, hey, it's me, Keith. Just want to talk. Sorry about that bullshit, but we're here. You set aside time. How are things? Now
and
we're
it
pals.
was $500.
But worth it. Look at us now. By the way, Hemda, you brought up earlier, it was Jerome, right, that wrote in?
Yeah.
Right? He was the other side thing. It's his birthday.
Oh, happy
birthday.
birthday, Jerome.
So he's out of your bracket now, I guess.
You guys might know him as NEWSY Chew, as the host of Chew and A, where he hosts us once a week. And whatever that date is, we go back in time in the Keith and the Girl catalog, and he tells us the kind of stuff that we were talking about.
Oh
and we
shit!
react to it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
if
it was today, June 15th, we go back to June 15th, 2001, 2020, 2021. I'm not into math. He's in charge. But we go back every year. And you want to talk about growth. Jesus.
Ooh.
Jesus. Wow. Yeah, life is crazy. And then when you have somebody that literally spells it out for you, you're disgusted and proud. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Holy shit.
But first he starts off with how his week was. And he is an active participant in a lot of sexual adventures. And I enjoy watching Keith and NEWSY interact because NEWSY's like a genuine open book. And he's like, so me and this dude would, and Keith is like, wait, who's in who? What position?
Yeah.
Why did you choose that? How did you decide on that? And I'm like, all right.
I do understand the excitement of the youth. Not only is he younger, but so I don't really know that world anymore. He's gay. I don't know that world. I'm like, so tell me, when you're a guys in the assholes that were like the Play-Doh fudge factory, it is exciting to hear these things that I don't know. I'm saying I get what you're going through, Kevin. I get what you're going through. In fact, you know what? In the celebration of NEWSY's birthday, I want you to hear Chew and A. It's a fantastic show. Get a free month of Keith and the Girl VIP. Go to keithandthegirl.com/VIP. Use code CHEW, however you spell it. Use code CHEW. Free month. You'll see what's going on. It's very, very exciting.
Bad Beef says, I never skip the first part, so I don't feel bad about my sex life.
So, because it's so dangerous is what he means? Yeah.
I don't know, actually. I thought he was going to go a different direction. I read the first part. I never skip. I never skip past the first part. And I'm like, this can only go in a wonderful way.
Well, he has some exciting adventures. What's the most dangerous place you've ever put yourself to have sex, Kevin? What's the most dangerous situation you put your physical body in?
It would have been like, well, the first thing that occurs to me is on an empty subway car. It was like 3 a.m. or something like that, and it was just me and this guy, and it's like, all right, no one else is on this car, let's have sex.
Like full on sex, or
I was rimming him at least, so that's
you're eating his asshole on the train, you're saying?
Yeah.
So no matter what happened, somebody has to be behind the other person on this train time. I mean, see how into it I get? I'm just saying that's it. Like if I'm fucking a girl,
you could sit on.
I can hide it more. I guess.
No. I believe he was like standing, and I was on my knees on the floor or something like that.
Okay, it's a production, is what I mean. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not an accident. You're not looking for contacts.
There's no someone walking into the car and you being like, oh, no, nothing going on.
Right. This one's taken.
And that felt more dangerous than I remember you saying about the cruising the park.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I was so young when I, went cruising in Central Park and had literally no idea what I was doing. And, I think that is another thing about people when they are so young, is that there is a little bit of a feeling of invincibility of like, well, what the hell, devil may care, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, a couple of years ago, like we were joking before that there was a Keith and a Girl episode where we started talking about how when I'm flaccid, I have a micro penis, and when I'm not flaccid, I have like a genuinely big penis that pisses people off because I'm not a top. The kind of penis where you're like, what the fuck? You don't use that for topping. But why was I talking about that? What the fuck brought that up?
I said, hey, remember when you, and I didn't even know you did it. You're just telling me. But I said, remember when you would cruise and you're learning what to do. You were a novice. And
in the park.
Oh, yeah. So I used to be way into group sex. I used to be way into cruising, into going to bathhouses, into going to all these places. But in my older years, I had more and more erectile dysfunction. Now I have Viagra, but I was putting that off for like a long, long time because you don't want to add another pill,
Sure.
And so I just stopped going to that group stuff because if you're not totally rock hard, you don't look very impressive at the if you're walking around with what looks like a micro penis. So I got very self-conscious over the years.
NEWSY tells us about cock rings, and he actually wears it on the way to the place. And
I am here's the thing. How old is NEWSY?
I think he just turned 36 or 30.
Yeah. That's probably when I started worrying about addictions. Addictions to cock rings, ball stretchers, nipple clamps.
Hey, NEWSY, happy birthday.
Well, NEWSY, he's writing in. He's saying, I'm painting a mural right now, and let out an audible gasp at that. Rimming on the train, you're a king. Now, this guy, I cannot believe that he's told every scenario of his is dangerous. It's every week we don't just meet to talk about our old episodes. We meet to see if he's still alive. It is
right.
Unbelievable. There was one time, it's not always like the sex that's dangerous or the location. It is the actual human being and their lack of paying attention. This one guy couldn't find his gun. And what was it? They had sex and whatever. Right. He moved the blanket off the bed and the gun went flying because that's where the gun was.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was one thing. That was one thing about dating a younger guy, because we were both polyamorous, and he would tell me stories of the other guys he would go on dates with. And I was like, your stories are so much more interesting now than mine.
Meanwhile, Mike G, speaking of your stories, Mike G remembers one of your stories and says, but whose shoes were tied on whose balls? You are the one.
You're fine. You're fine. You have stories.
Who's competing with you? This is crazy. You do like anal classes where you show people in kink camp how to put a fist in someone's ass.
I don't go on the risk and think, is he going to be mad if I outstory him? You're fine.
No, what I mean is that my stories nowadays that I was able to share with him about guys I'm seeing, like, they're only going to be so interesting because they haven't lived all that much of life. Whereas he was just like, oh yeah, like this guy who like worked with Stephen Sondheim for like 45, like he just, all the guys he was dating were just like such eccentric, wild, interesting New York characters, because when people get to a certain age, they are more interesting in that way.
Meanwhile, when you were living with some roommates, talk about interesting, you were living with some roommates. One of your roommates was dating Kevin.
Oh, Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. And he was a fucking weirdo. Kevin Spacey, right?
Right.
Yeah.
This is you have such stories. It's crazy.
Have you had sex since being sober?
And have you thought of writing the biography?
I've had, that might be something in the future too. But yeah, I've had it a few times. And here's one thing I've noticed. So with sex, it was pot.
I don't have a micro penis after all.
Right. There's a hallucination. No, with pot and poppers were the combo that I loved for sex, even just masturbating. Like during the lockdown, it was over the top with that shit. So what I noticed is I've only had sex a few times since I've been sober because I've just calmed down a little, and I'm like, hey, let's, you're getting over a breakup. Let's just go slow here. And what I've noticed is there were two incidents with someone that I felt really connected with, like that I already knew for a while and knew we were simpatico and had a real understanding of one another, and that we also weren't going to be falling in love. Right. And then there was one with kind of someone that I had been with once before, but couldn't quite remember. Like it didn't quite work out the first time. And the second time I was like, oh, no. Reason it didn't work out the first time is we're not fucking connecting. You know what I mean? Like without the pot and the poppers, I am so much more conscious of, is there a connection here or not? And how mindful and present are we able to be with one another? It's much easier to like have pot and poppers and be in a little bit of a blurry haze around that stuff, you know?
Isn't everything sexy?
Yeah.
Everything's sexy, but being sober, I found sex so much better.
Yeah. Oh, no, my gosh. I do have faith in that because the two times that I had sex with, like I was saying, someone that I already know I have a real, safe connection with. I told him, I was like, I am so grateful. I'm so grateful I could do this with you because, he was like, yeah, you were great. You know what I mean? It's like, you got nothing to worry about. That was really fun. Like, so that was really cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, look at this. I got to say, I'm happy for you. I don't know about Hemda. I'll let her speak for herself. But this seems like a great news all around. You're mindful. That's the key, right?
Of course, I'm happy for you. To me, there's nothing to feel bad about anybody who's coming into this room because no matter what, you're okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, you must be okay. You joined in. I know that there's a lot going on in the background. You could even be depressed, but for right this second, I know you're okay.
Right. That's beautiful.
Look at that. A chick Buddha. Who would have thought, right? Good for her. Big news. New Black Mirror is out right now. New season of the greatest show possibly ever made. This information throws me for such a loop because it absolutely is an incredible show and it's so hard to watch. When I think of all the Black Mirror episodes that I've seen, I mean, it terrifies me because it is exactly what either happened, is happening, or is about to happen.
They definitely put in your subconscious shit that you're going to have to deal with.
The first episode, I saw the first episode and I'm like, am I going to be in this somehow? That's all I can tell you.
So wait. How many episodes are there of this new season?
I'm going to guess 6. I really don't know.
It's the rest of our life. Just live your life. You're living an episode. Don't worry about it. They scripted a couple of them, but holy shit. Whoa.
Is it the same guy that is it is. Okay.
Same writer. He's a fucking genius. Charlie Brooker.
Because he stopped for a while because he was afraid the world was too rough on everyone.
Yeah, well, he knows it. He knows how to articulate it. It's crazy. I think this should happen in group sessions. You shouldn't watch this alone. It is you do what is it called? Bookending this kind of thing. When you're going to do something that's going to be hard or traumatic or emotional.
Aftercare.
You bookend it. You talk to somebody or do something before and do something after so that you can tolerate this thing.
But I do need Charlie.
I'm excited.
It's such a good show.
I do need Charlie to direct more of his episodes, which he doesn't do so much anymore. Because when a show is so meta, you can't have continuity errors. If it's deep and they're not really there and something's AI, and I see a piece of paper is moved and not where it was, but then I learned that had nothing to do with anything. It's like what history movie has continuity errors, and I'm like, you told me to look for clues, motherfucker.
Right. Like The Shining, where
Yes.
sometimes it's like, oh yeah, no,
They
made
fucked
a little
up. Yeah.
mistake. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's what you do. Meanwhile, I still believe it's one of the greatest shows of all time. You want to follow what this guy's up to, the great Kevin Allison. You want to download the podcast Risk. You want to get the book Risk. I'm not a reader. Loved it, Kevin. True story. You put together a great collection of stories. What else should people know?
Well, just check me out because I'm going to be starting to do more and more of this like coaching and these workshops on this sort of self-care stuff and these social events, these come meet other people and have curated meeting up. So yeah, check us out at risk-show.com or on any of the socials. We're at Risk Show. And then on the socials, I'm at the Kevin Allison.
Definitely. You know what? I hope that one of your things is we all hold hands and watch Black Mirror.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I love the vibe of your shows. Honestly, it reminds me of watching a movie with veterans yesterday. There was a vibe that everybody's nice. You knew there weren't going to be any fights. Nobody was going to be like, excuse me. Just it was in the air that it was cool. And that's just like your shows.
That's nice.
Everybody
and
is
one's
cool.
saying it's been a real nice clam bake.
Right. You're older now, all right, everybody. Thanks for listening. By doing so you've accepted our terms and services.